So yeah, I wondered what's kept you going throughout this? What's kept you grounded, and how have you been looking after your mental health and your well-being?
To be fair, I'll hold my hands up and say I'm someone that's never really properly struggled with mental health. I can say I've never really had depression and things like that because I've always had music as an escape. Picking up a guitar has always been a way for me to like just chuck emotions out the window. You know what I mean? Getting
Mm.
down in songs and things like that. So back at the start of lockdown, um, it was a bit of a blessing in disguise really because I got to spend a lot of time with my mum and my sister back at home, in the garden in the sun. I was like all day every day. I had nothing to do, so I was just constantly picking up my guitar or like going on a walk. Like it was actually a really creative period for me.
Yeah.
I know some people got a really raw deal in lockdown, so I'm not trying to say it's sunshine and rainbows for everyone. But in my case, I was able to get round it. But the other lad in the band, Ewan, the songwriter, he was plastering tunes out. He was sending me like 2 tunes a day. Like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? I was like, wow, mate, chill out. I'm having a beer. You know what I mean? Like, come off my back of it. But we both wrote very prolifically, purely because there was nothing else to do, and we thought if while the world isn't in motion, while everyone's in the same boat doing absolutely sweet FA, like let's get a head start. Let's start
Mm.
getting an album together, or at least so that when we come out of lockdown, we can get in the studio and we've got so much material to trawl through that we can
Yeah.
just be throwing things in the bin for the sake of it. You know what I mean? And we can pick out the best ones instead of taking the approach like, oh, the world's on lockdown, everything stops, so I'm going to stop and I'm going to recluse. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We tried to have like the opposite outlook on it. Um, and like we did a couple of live stream gigs through Facebook and that, and I'd like to say we've kept ourselves relatively on it with like social media, like letting people know we're still there because
Yeah.
the bands I followed, like as soon as lockdown came out, bang, no posts for like 6 like, where have you gone, mate?
Yeah, like radio silence.
Yeah, exactly. And like we just wanted people to know that like, yeah, this is Tez, like everyone's gonna be struggling for a good few months, but like we're still here and like we're making music for you. And if our songs that are coming out of this can make you feel better, and bang on, that's what we want. And
Yeah.
we put an EP out called Back in the Room. Bloody hell, I forgot the title of it then. We put an EP out called Back in the Room in like slap bang in the middle of lockdown, which was literally just an acoustic EP
Yeah.
of some of our tunes. There's like a couple new ones on there and a couple versions of old ones. And I literally was just like sat in my room for the whole of lockdown making that and recording it and produced it, sent it off to our producer and he mastered it for me because I'm yet to learn properly how to master, but I'm
Mm.
alright with mixing.
Yeah.
Um, and like I say, like Ewan helped write some of the tunes on that. Luis, our piano player, like put down some great keys. It was just like a dead soft, summery vibe thing. And I
Mm.
think that culmination of things like pushing ourselves to write, getting a release out, like staying on it with social media, letting people know we're still here, kind of just made me forget that there was a lot of messed up things going on. And I
Yeah.
could just focus on my little world and be like, right, what am I going to do today? What am I going to write? How am I going to get through the day happy? So, yeah, I mean, some people wouldn't be able to say the same, so I'm very lucky and privileged that I can. But, that was how I managed to keep everything flowing, I guess.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's such a positive outlook on everything because you literally you said at the beginning of like this that you guys only really formed like late summer 2019, was it?
Yeah.
So this pandemic had the potential to massively like derail your
Yeah.
forming of those really early days of that are quite crucial like in your development as a band, I think.
Of course.
Yeah, potentially could really affect your momentum. Obviously it's affect you being able to tour, physically tour. I know
Mm.
you said you've done a few live streams and gigs from home, but the first years of a band's life is notorious for being the most busy time of like gigs and, you know, playing everywhere to just get your name out. So
Oh,
obviously that's,
you've got to do those
um,
things in the early days because you've got to kind of like, if you know any band that's been worth their salt, even if it takes like a year or 2 or 3 or something like that, when they get in there, like as soon as they've got their foot in the door, they kick it wide open and they're like, bang, here we are, we're here
yeah.
to make some noise. You know what I mean? No one really just kind of slowly coasts through it. They're boring bands that no one listens to. So we kind of always had that mentality that, you know, like when it happens for us, it's going to happen. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
we're going to go into it like all guns blazing, gung ho, like welcome to Rosellas. This is what we're doing. But before lockdown, I think it was in February, like going into March, we had like a string of I think like 6 gigs over like just I think it was 6 gigs in like 6 weeks or 7 weeks. It was like an accidental mini tour. We didn't like line it up as a tour, but we started in Manchester and then we went Liverpool, and we went Leeds, and we went Sheffield and back to Manchester. And
Mm.
like the momentum we got off that was mad. And like we
Yeah.
saw like the listeners going up, the follows going up. We were getting people like actually coming to gigs who weren't our mates, and we were like, "Yo, this is mad." And then there's obviously soon it was like March 14th or like 20th or something. Boris was like, "Yeah, mate, getting doors," and we were like, "Wow, that's our momentum completely gone." But you know that happened to every single other band, so it's not like I'm going to sit here and give you a sob story about it. It was
Yeah.
unfortunate, but from that approach, we were like, right, that sucks, but what are we going to do to make sure we're ahead of everyone else when the world's back in motion again?
Mm.
I mean, if you take the approach that, like, oh, we were doing really well, but, oh, suck it, you know, Boris says we can't go outside, let's fold the bands out. Were you ever meant to be in a band?
Yeah,
Got
exactly.
to carry on driving through those periods, man, and we're hoping that it not only shows in the music, but, you know, people latch on to the fact that we've got these like I hate saying we've got these dreams because it's bare cliche, but like we've all got these aspirations and levels we want to get to, and we're driven like beyond measure to get there. And I think the bands that have carried on through lockdown are all very similar in that.
Yeah, yeah. And I think having this period where you've not been able to play those live gigs and, you know, do what you really are, are so keen to do as a band, like it only makes you more eager to get going again when things open up. And I think it's gonna um, be all the more like enjoyable when we finally
I
are able
think
to
so
go to
too.
gigs and you were able to play gigs. So
I agree. I think in Manchester, especially when you go out in like the Northern Quarter and all that, like there was literally a singer on in like every single bar and a band like on every street. So everyone takes it for granted. You know what I mean? No one really goes in unless it's a band they know or mates of a band or like they sound absolutely sick. But I'm thinking that after this, like, oh, well, I'm hoping people are just gonna buy tickets to stuff for the sake of it. You know what I mean? They'll walk past the bar, hear a band, and be like, "Wow, that's what a drum kit sounds like. I remember now." And they'll
yeah,
just go in and listen. You know what I mean? I'm hoping it'll turn a bit like 1969, Summer of Love again. But who knows, man? Who knows? We've just got to make sure that we're at the forefront of it all. You know what I mean? Booking as many gigs as possible.
yeah.